Think about this for a second. The Spartans were legendary. 300 warriors held off hundreds of thousands of Persians at Thermopylae. Their military prowess was unmatched for centuries. They were mentally unbreakable, physically elite, emotionally resilient. Yet they lived under what we would consider extreme restrictions: brutal training from childhood, rigid social hierarchy, constant discipline, no luxury, no comfort, no freedom in the way we understand it today. Now look at modern society. We have unprecedented freedom. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want. Unlimited entertainment, infinite choices, no one forcing you to do anything. We've eliminated almost every external constraint. So we should be mentally stronger than ever, right? We should be thriving, but we're not. Depression rates are skyrocketing. Anxiety is epidemic. People can't focus for 5 minutes. Mental weakness is everywhere. So what's going on? How did extreme discipline create mental strength while unlimited freedom seems to be destroying it? The answer is going to challenge everything you think you know about freedom and human psychology. Let's start with how Spartans were actually raised, because this is where it all begins. Spartan boys were taken from their mothers at age 7 and entered the agoge, the brutal state training system. From that moment, their entire existence was structured. They woke up at dawn, they trained, they studied warfare, they endured hardship deliberately, they slept on reed mats, not beds. They were given minimal food, encouraged to steal to survive, but severely punished if caught. The point wasn't the stealing. It was teaching resourcefulness under pressure. They exercised naked in all weather. They were beaten for showing weakness. They learned to endure pain without complaint. This continued until age 20. 13 years of relentless discipline, zero comfort, constant challenge. Here's what this did psychologically. It eliminated the gap between stimulus and response. When something difficult happened, there was no time to negotiate with yourself, no internal debate about whether you felt like doing it. You just did it. The discipline was so ingrained that action became automatic. Modern neuroscience actually backs this up. When you repeat behaviors consistently under strict conditions, you create what's called automaticity. The prefrontal cortex, which handles decision-making and willpower, doesn't have to work as hard. The behavior becomes encoded in your basal ganglia, the part of your brain that handles habits and automatic responses. Spartans weren't stronger because they had more willpower. They were stronger because they didn't need willpower. Discipline had become their default state. Compare that to how modern children are raised. We've eliminated almost all discomfort. Kids have smartphones by age 10, unlimited entertainment, climate-controlled homes, constant snacks. If they're bored for 5 seconds, they can scroll TikTok. If they're uncomfortable, they can adjust the temperature, change the channel, get a different food. We've engineered an environment where you never have to tolerate anything unpleasant. And we think this is progress. We think we're being kind. But here's what we're actually doing. We're preventing the development of the exact neural pathways that create mental resilience. The ability to tolerate discomfort is like a muscle. If you never use it, it atrophies. Modern kids reach adulthood without ever having built that muscle. The Spartan system also eliminated choice paralysis. This is huge. Modern psychology has proven that too many choices actually make us miserable. There's a famous study where researchers set up a jam tasting booth. In one condition, they offered 6 flavors. In another, 24 flavors. You'd think more options would be better, right? Wrong. People were 10 times more likely to actually buy jam when there were only 6 choices. When there were 24, they got overwhelmed and bought nothing. This applies to everything. Dating apps with unlimited options make people less satisfied with relationships. Streaming services with thousands of shows make it harder to pick anything. Grocery stores with 50 types of cereal create decision fatigue. Spartans didn't have this problem. Their path was clear. Train, fight, serve Sparta. That's it. No career options to stress about. No endless possibilities to evaluate. No FOMO because everyone else was doing the same thing. This clarity created psychological freedom. When you know exactly what you're supposed to do, you can put all your mental energy into doing it excellently. You're not wasting cognitive resources on endless decision-making. Modern people are exhausted before they even start because they're drowning in choices. What career should I pursue? Where should I live? Who should I date? What should I buy? What should I watch? What should I eat? Every decision depletes your mental energy. Spartans conserved that energy for what mattered. Let's talk about delayed gratification, because this is where modern culture has completely failed. The Spartans lived in a state of constant delayed gratification. They endured years of hardship, knowing it would make them elite warriors. They sacrificed comfort for future strength. They understood that pain now equals power later. This ability to delay gratification is one of the strongest predictors of success in life. There's a famous study called the marshmallow test. Researchers would give kids one marshmallow and tell them if they could wait 15 minutes without eating it, they'd get 2 marshmallows. Some kids waited, some didn't. The researchers followed these kids for decades. The ones who waited had better SAT scores, lower BMI, less substance abuse, better careers, healthier relationships. Everything in life was better. Modern society has destroyed our ability to delay gratification. You want food? It arrives in 30 minutes. You want entertainment? It's instant. You want social validation? Post a photo and watch the likes roll in. You want dopamine? Scroll, click, swipe. Everything is immediate. Your brain is being trained that desire and satisfaction should happen simultaneously. So when you encounter something that requires sustained effort with distant payoff, like building a business, learning a skill, getting in shape, your brain rebels. It's been conditioned for instant gratification. The Spartan brain was conditioned for the opposite. There's also something profound about having a clear purpose. Spartans knew exactly why they existed: to defend Sparta, to be the greatest warriors on earth, to uphold their society's values. This gave them what psychologists call a sense of meaning. Viktor Frankl, who survived the Nazi concentration camps, wrote that the people who survived weren't the strongest or smartest. They were the ones with a reason to live, a purpose beyond themselves. Spartans had this built into their identity from childhood. Modern people are drowning in existential confusion. What's the meaning of life? Why am I here? What's my purpose? These questions create anxiety because there's no clear answer. We've been told we can be anything, do anything, which sounds liberating but is actually paralyzing. The modern world offers what psychologists call negative freedom. Freedom from constraints, but not positive freedom, which is freedom to achieve something meaningful. The Spartans had positive freedom. They were constrained in many ways, but within those constraints, they had total freedom to become the absolute best version of what a Spartan warrior could be. They had a template, a standard, a goal. Modern people have negative freedom. You can do whatever you want, but there's no template, no standard, no clear goal. So people drift. They chase pleasure. They avoid pain. They optimize for comfort, and they end up miserable because humans aren't designed for aimless comfort. We're designed for purposeful struggle. Let's address the physical component because you cannot separate mental and physical discipline. Spartans trained their bodies relentlessly, not in gyms with mirrors and protein shakes. They ran in full armor. They wrestled. They fought. They carried heavy shields for hours. They marched for days. This physical suffering did something crucial. It taught them that discomfort is temporary and survivable. When you regularly push your body past what you think it can handle, you learn that your limits are mostly mental. You expand your capacity for suffering. This translates directly to mental resilience. If you can run until your legs are screaming and keep running, you can handle a difficult conversation. You can endure rejection. You can persist through failure. Modern people are physically soft. The average American walks less than 4,000 steps a day. Most people couldn't run a mile if their life depended on it. We sit in ergonomic chairs, sleep on memory foam, avoid any physical discomfort, and then we wonder why we're mentally weak. Your brain doesn't know the difference between physical and psychological threat. When you avoid physical discomfort, you're training your brain that discomfort in general should be avoided. When you embrace physical challenge, you're training your brain that you can handle hard things. There's also the issue of community and accountability. Spartans weren't individuals pursuing personal goals. They were part of a collective with shared standards. If you failed, you shamed not just yourself but your unit, your family, your city. This created enormous social pressure to maintain discipline. Modern individualism has eliminated this. You're told to do you, live your truth, follow your passion. There's no shared standard, no collective expectation. You're accountable to no one but yourself. And here's the problem. Self-accountability is weak. When the only person you're letting down is yourself, it's easy to make excuses. When you're letting down your brothers in arms, your ancestors, your entire society, the stakes feel real. Modern culture also celebrates self-expression and authenticity above all else. You're supposed to express your feelings, honor your emotions, be true to yourself. This sounds nice, but it's actually destructive. The Spartans didn't care about your feelings. If you were scared, you fought anyway. If you were tired, you trained anyway. If you were sad, you performed your duty anyway. They understood that emotions are temporary weather patterns, not commands. Modern people have been taught that emotions are sacred truth that must be honored. If you don't feel like working out, don't. If you don't feel like going to work, call in sick. If you don't feel like maintaining a relationship, leave. We've made feelings the ultimate authority. This is a recipe for weakness. Let's talk about adversity, because the Spartans didn't just tolerate it, they sought it out. They had a practice called the diamastigosis, where young men would endure public whippings to prove their toughness. They would compete to see who could endure the most pain without crying out. Some died from this. We look at this and think it's barbaric. But here's what it did. It gave young men a rite of passage, a test they could pass that proved they were worthy. Modern society has eliminated almost all rites of passage. You don't prove yourself through ordeal, you just age. This leaves young people, especially young men, hungry for challenge and validation. They have no outlet for this need, so it manifests in destructive ways. Video game addiction, substance abuse, nihilism, depression. The lack of real challenge in modern life is making us fragile. Nassim Taleb wrote about this concept he calls anti-fragility. Some things are fragile, they break under stress. Some things are robust, they withstand stress. But some things are anti-fragile, they actually get stronger from stress. Muscles are anti-fragile. Your immune system is anti-fragile. Your mind is anti-fragile, but only if you expose it to the right kind of stress. The Spartan system was designed to create anti-fragile humans. Modern system is designed to eliminate all stress, which creates fragile humans who shatter at the first real challenge. Social media has made this exponentially worse. It gives you the illusion of freedom and choice while actually imprisoning you in dopamine loops. You're free to scroll for hours. You're free to consume infinite content. You're free to curate a fake persona, but you're enslaved to the algorithm. You're addicted to validation. You're anxious about how you're perceived. The Spartans had none of this. Your reputation was built through action, not images. Your worth was determined by what you could do, not how many followers you had. There was no performance of identity, just identity itself, forged through discipline. Modern education compounds the problem. We've created a system that prioritizes feelings over facts, comfort over challenge. Students are protected from difficult ideas, trigger warnings, safe spaces, grade inflation. Everyone gets a trophy. The message is clear. You're fragile. You can't handle hard things. We need to protect you. This is the opposite of the Spartan approach, which was to throw you into the fire and let you prove you can survive. Modern students graduate without ever having been truly tested. Then real life hits them, and they have no framework for handling it. The technology we've created enables avoidance like never before. You can work from home, order food, date online, shop without leaving your couch. You never have to face uncomfortable social situations. You never have to navigate conflict in person. You never have to tolerate boredom. Every discomfort has a technological solution. But discomfort is where growth happens. The Spartans couldn't avoid. They had to face everything directly. This made them psychologically robust. Modern people can avoid almost everything, which makes them psychologically brittle. There's also the issue of physical environment. Spartans lived in Sparta, a city with minimal luxury, stone buildings, simple food, no excess. The environment itself reinforced discipline. Modern environments are designed to maximize comfort and stimulate consumption. Soft furniture, ambient temperature control, endless entertainment options, algorithmic feeds designed to keep you engaged. Your environment is constantly pulling you toward comfort and distraction. Willpower alone isn't enough to fight this. The Spartans didn't need willpower because their environment supported their goals. Let's address the elephant in the room. The Spartan system was brutal. It was oppressive by our standards. Many people suffered. Not everyone was cut out for it. Some were discarded. We shouldn't romanticize everything about it. But here's what we can learn. The pendulum has swung too far in the other direction. We've eliminated so much structure and discipline that people are drowning in freedom. We thought removing constraints would make people happy. It's done the opposite. People are more anxious, more depressed, more aimless than ever. What we need isn't a return to Spartan society. That's neither possible nor desirable. What we need is voluntary adoption of Spartan principles. Choose hard things, build discipline through repetition, embrace discomfort regularly, delay gratification deliberately, pursue a purpose beyond yourself, create artificial constraints that force growth, join communities with high standards, hold yourself accountable to something bigger than your feelings. This is how you build mental strength in a world designed to make you weak. The paradox is that freedom without discipline leads to slavery. You become enslaved to your impulses, your emotions, your addictions. True freedom comes through discipline. When you control yourself, when you can do hard things regardless of how you feel, you become truly free. The Spartans understood this. They weren't free in the modern sense, but they were mentally liberated in a way most modern people never experience. They weren't anxious about their purpose. They weren't paralyzed by choices. They weren't slaves to comfort. They were disciplined, and that discipline gave them a kind of freedom we've lost. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. What are you going to do with your freedom? Are you going to use it to maximize comfort, avoid challenge, and slowly weaken yourself? Or are you going to voluntarily impose discipline, seek out hardship, and forge mental strength? The choice is yours. That's the gift and the curse of modern freedom. The Spartans didn't have a choice. The system chose for them. You have to choose for yourself, and that's either the greatest opportunity or the greatest trap. It all depends on what you choose.